of this resonance, part of this convergence is the acknowledgement of the 13-20 ratio, which is going to revolutionize teaching, which is going to revolutionize our science. When we start working with tones, when we tone, and we work with these tones in our bodies, they create health in our immune systems. Colors affect us in a certain way also. Symbols affect us in a certain way also. So this is what the convergence is about. It's not only about planting your feet in the dirt and connecting with that vibration of love, and connecting with the earth and feeling its love and making that a resonant feeling, and putting out our prayers and our meditations for the healing of the earth. That's one part of it. And then it's watching these manifestations occur over the next couple of years until Harmonic Convergence number 3 in 1996.
Currently, we're standing on Top Airport Mesa at the Shrine of the Red Rocks, and this is where the free public events for the Harmonic Convergence II celebrations in Sedona will be held. It's really a perfect setting because this is considered a sacred site, and I want to acknowledge the Red Rock Memorial Lodge of the Masons for allowing the events to be here. In a way, this is their way of helping our efforts to keep the visitation to Sedona for Harmonic Convergence II from being a detriment to the environment. By being able to have the large public celebrations and meditations for world peace here at this site rather than out on the forest, there's less risk of the fragile ecosystems of the vortex areas and the beautiful red rock vegetation being trampled. And yet, as you can see, we still have all the splendor of that greenery and the red rock energy of Sedona as a panorama behind us. So here in this setting, at 5 on Saturday, there will be a picnic, a meditation ceremony, and a concert with musicians donating their time. Then at 5:30 in the morning on Sunday the 26th, there will be a sunrise meditation, and again one last meditation and reflective period for world peace and planetary progress on Sunday at 6 p.m.
The Harmonic Convergence II celebration is based upon the cycles of time as charted by the Mayan calendar. The Mayan calendar, we've determined, uses a mathematic structure similar to that of the coding of the genetic material. It's because of this we find vast significance in their system. The original Harmonic Convergence had to do with cycles of time beginning with the arrival of Cortez in the New World. The original Harmonic Convergence, of course, was accompanied by various planetary conjunctions, and I believe that many of the people who see this video of myself will remember the planetary conjunctions during the original Harmonic Convergence, that it was plain to see the bright objects in the sky of Saturn and Uranus and Jupiter conjunct. This next Harmonic Convergence is not going to be accompanied by the same astronomical phenomena, but nonetheless, it is the passing of a significant cycle of time. The cycle of time that we're currently moving into is governed by the two most significant signs of the Mayan calendar. That is, the sun and the ray of transformation. Now, we believe that this indicates the human race is beginning to enter a phase of quantum evolution. We must remember that in the last 100 years, we have increased our technology from the level of horse-drawn wagons to space shuttles, men walking on the moon, computers in the home, etc. If we were to chart the technology advance of the human race, we would see a curve of ever-increasing ascent. If we were studying quantum physics, we would say a particle that's gathering so much momentum and so much energy is preparing to make a quantum leap into the next higher level or the next higher energy state. Therefore, we believe that by simply observing events that are occurring today in our society, especially with the rapid growth in technology, that we are indeed beginning to enter the quantum evolution phase of the human race. This is a time when we're going to learn more about extrasensory perception, telekinesis, teletransportation, and other paranormal ideas that are associated with the human psyche and the human mind. We believe that by bringing groups of people together in ceremony, we create an energy field which affects the group consciousness of the human race. And that, in fact, the group consciousness of the human race is like the planetary mind. It binds all consciousness of all human beings together. And if we can send enough love energy out, that this will work on groups of people all over the planet from within, helping them to find peaceful resolutions to their problems. And this is why we come together in ceremony. We're forming seed groups here in Sedona and other places across the nation to get people thinking about these ideas, these concepts, to get people interested in doing ceremony, to invoke the Great Spirit and the Master Jesus Christ for the healing of this planet. And what we are doing is not evil, it's not dark, it's not corrupt. Our ceremonies are done under the auspices of the Master Jesus Christ. We invite Christ to our ceremonies in prayer, and it's for the healing of the planet. And I sincerely believe that we have the ability to heal the planet with our hearts.
I'm Bob Gillis, the District Ranger at Sedona for the U.S. Forest Service, and this coming weekend, July the 25th and 26th, is the second of the Harmonic Convergence activities that are planned in the area. We're expecting that a lot of folks will come here in order to visit some of the special areas here that are so meaningful to many folks. Boynton Canyon vortex, the Bell Rock vortex are a couple of the real prominent ones, the airport vortex, Cathedral Rock, and some others. One of the things that happens when you get an event like this is we get an awful lot of folks that come to the area, and there's so many people at once that it becomes crowded. And as you have a crowd, of course, you take up more space, and we're a little concerned about the destruction of vegetation and the impact on the resources and on the sensitive soils of the area. So we're hoping that people, most people that are participating are really close to the earth and to the natural things that we're so proud of around here and so concerned about, and we need their help to make sure that we protect these resources. We would like people to remember that if they're in an automobile, park the automobile in a place that is not going to disturb the vegetation or cause soil erosion problems. When you're walking, try to stay on the pathways and on areas that are not going to have long-term damage from just the trampling effect of people's feet. I think when you're in the area, you're going to notice that some things have been done in the past just from sheer volume of use is an impact on resources. We ask you to do the right thing as far as garbage and trash and this type of thing. The New Age folks in the Sedona area have offered to assist us in keeping the area cleaned up. They've even helped us in providing portable toilets in some of the more popular areas so that that will not become a problem for any visitor and also a resource problem. We're looking forward to a very pleasant event with folks, meeting a bunch of new folks. I was here in 1987 when the first Harmonic Convergence the activity was here. I think without exception, the folks that came here to enjoy this event were very nice folks. They really cared a lot. But I think there were some things done that were inadvertent or from people not understanding what they were actually doing or what their activity created as far as a long-term impact. So I guess this year I would like to ask people to think more about, if I drive over this bush, what does that really mean? That's a lasting impact, and that bush now is destroyed for others to do. The same thing goes with modification of any natural feature, such as movement of rocks, the forming of medicine wheels, this kind of thing. We would ask that you not do that. The reason is that it's disturbing of an already perfect natural feature, and you're modifying it for man's way, and we feel it's better that you enjoy it as Mother Nature put it there, and then let others enjoy it that way too. And if you need symbols of your belief or anything like that, that should be done on an area of your own property and your own choosing, where you have control over the visitation and who's there. Because there are some folks that think those type of activities are perfectly suitable, and there are some folks that are offended by them. And this is the National Forest. It's owned by everybody, and we want everybody to enjoy the National Forest. And quite frankly, we feel like nature has done a pretty good job around here, and we don't feel like these type of things improve that at all.
Well, the Harmonic Convergence II is yet to happen. It's a day away from where we're talking now. So I don't know really what the consequences of that will be until it does happen. It will probably be a shift in consciousness for some people. Some people will not notice it at all, and others will be wondering what's going on, why there's so many people in Sedona. So I don't really know what to say about it until it happens. Well, the Healing Center is a place that was built on donations of people from San Francisco and people from Sedona and others just passing by. The labor and the materials were donated to build a place of healing in Sedona. I myself grew up in Sedona and discovered this little canyon in which I'm in when I was about 10 years old, and I always felt its energy was very special. And when it came time for me to build a healing center, I had a healing center in San Francisco for 10 years. When it came time for me to build a healing center, I thought the best place for me to do it would be in Sedona, because I felt the most healing place. And so this was started on the donations of my students and clients from San Francisco, and for the first 5 years they came to help build it. In the last 2 years I moved here to finish building it, and with the aid of people from Sedona and people passing through Sedona who didn't have any money or anywhere to live or any job, and they would just come by here to help build the place. Last Harmonic Convergence in 1987, there were maybe about 70 people who came to live with me, and they were sleeping in the cabinets and in the woods and everywhere else they could find a place to stay. And once Harmonic Convergence was over, many of them stayed in order to help finish the construction of the Healing Center, and that's primarily how it got finished. All of the interior work, the sheetrock and things like that. So it was all built by people who really had no skill at building, and it's turned out to be a very nice place for healing, for people from all over the world to come for retreat. People who are trying to escape from some city for their own healing or self-education, that they can learn to stay out of the healthcare system in some way. And most of the healers in Sedona work out of the Healing Center, so it's a place for everyone to come. This garden that we're in right now is a memorial garden to the healing community. When someone passes on who's a healer, we have a party for them and plant a tree or a rose bush or something of that nature, put up a little plaque to remember them by. There are people who come here to get married, people who come here to have their babies in the bathtub. Mostly guests come as individuals or couples, come for a personalized retreat, and they can get any type of therapy they want, and receive vegetarian meals. There's a hot tub and a sauna and a steam bath and a float tank. There's a large metaphysical and healing library that anyone can use. There are extensive gardens in the healing center, and there's a meditation dome. We have an exercise area or outdoor area for basketball and fire walking and weightlifting. There's a sweat lodge. There are other facilities that one can use around here. Swimming in the creek is about 100 yards away. Our hiking trails go right from the healing center up into the mountains. But mostly it's a place for peace and relaxation and rest. And how the healing center is designed is that it's healing by itself without anyone having to do anything to you. It's just by being here you feel good. People generally have very vivid dreams. When I was building the healing center, that's one of the properties I noticed of it is that the shape of the buildings, the domes tend to amplify things, your thoughts, your dreams, your imagery, even smell, for example. And that myself, having never built anything before, I would usually be taught about what I had to do the next day in my sleep. And then I'd wake up and do it, or teach someone else how to do it. And that's how the whole place was built over the 7 years it took to build it. And we've been open for 4 years now, as of this day. In fact, we had our 4th anniversary party last night, July 24th, 1992. There were many people who talked about how they were going to change the world, who used to sit around and drink coffee and smoke cigarettes and talk about changing the world, and they didn't do anything, and this presented them an opportunity to do something actually that would help change the world. And it provided an outlet for those people to act on their dreams or their thoughts or their aspirations as well. And for people passing by, many people who came here to help me build this from around the world had similar dreams and wanted to see one manifest, wanted to see one become real. And so this was sort of the first manifestation of New Age principles in Sedona. And because it was built on donations and it was built on love. And for example, when I was building it, people would stay here in exchange for helping me build it, and I would feed them and house them basically. And I, of course, wasn't working because I was working on the healing center. So restaurants would donate food to us at the end of the day, and when the supermarkets, when their freezers broke down, they would call me, and I'd go fill up my pickup truck with frozen pizzas and burritos, and we'd eat frozen pizzas and burritos for months at a time. So there was a sense of that there was something more operating this than just myself and my own ego and my own needs. There were people who cared about this and wanted to see it succeed. And so I'm very appreciative of that, of course. And it sort of became a symbol for the New Age community that all these principles that we've been learning about and reading about and talking about are real, and we can actualize something if we put our hearts into it, and we don't just think it, that that the mountain's going to move because we think it. Sometimes you need something like a shovel to move the mountain, and so this is a way of actualizing your dreams and your aspirations. Healing, true healing takes place when one is unified with the divine, or God, or whatever you want to call it. And there are many levels of, I guess you would say, partial healing from that level. The physical level is only the end result of everything that's gone before. And so it's really to try to aim your healing at something physical is almost defeating the purpose, because it's going to just change your symptomatology and it'll go somewhere else. Real healing has to go on in the spirit, and your concept of wholeness, your concept of union with everything around you, and learning to love everything around you, and see God in everything around you, and including yourself. And that's where real healing goes on. There are four main bodies within what we call the body. There's the spiritual, there's the mental, there's the emotional, and there's the physical. And for the most part, the real healing goes on in the spiritual, and that's what we aim for here at the Healing Center. But we find that the spiritual basically is okay, ultimately. The physical is basically okay because it only takes what's going on in the higher realms, the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional, and then that's made manifest in the physical body. And the physical body naturally wants to survive and to heal itself. That's its natural tendency. The mental body changes with our thoughts. And so the one where most people tend to have a holding on, a belief system, or a structure that keeps them from advancing in their own path is the emotional body. And that's primarily what happens here, is that most people come to heal their emotional body. And it tends to be the body where it's hardest to give up. That it tends to anchor us to continually being here on Earth in existence because we hold on to it. And we hold on to pain and suffering and our beliefs that we developed from the time we were a small child. And so primarily the people who come here to the Healing Center, that's what it's turned into being, is a place for healing the emotional body and to release the stuck energy, many times mostly in the second and the fifth chakras, where people were raised in dogmatic type religions, or just say fundamentalist religions, where they were told that sex was bad and they should be quiet. And so a lot of times what we spend time with here is helping people release that belief system that sex is bad and that they need to be quiet, basically. And so we help people open up their throats so they're able to speak their truth, and we help them open up their lower nature so they see that it's okay, that it's part of the divine as well, that it's not something to be denied, it's not something to be put down, it's not something to equate with negativity or with the devil or anything like that, but it's part of our whole divine human nature. In America, we've even had, back in the 60s, first of all, we had what was called the free speech movement, and then we had the free love movement, and those things took place in public, in universities and schools and people who were younger, but those are still the two main things that need to take place in everyone's life all the time, is to learn to speak your truth and to love as many people as you can. Not necessarily sexually or physically, but to love everybody in your heart, because we all survive on that. That's what keeps us all here, is the love for each other. And if our harmonic convergence helps in that regard, then it's fulfilled a good purpose. It's, in my mind, harmonic convergence is sort of like a doorway. It's stepping from one level of consciousness to another, and that process has been speeded up. We feel it here in Sedona, and probably it's felt elsewhere in the world. That the expansion of consciousness is being speeded up at a tremendous rate lately, and supposedly this harmonic convergence too will help with that regard, because it's a way of acknowledging the humanity in each of us, and acknowledging the divine in each of us, and just in that regard it helps us all communicate with each other better, and it helps us to understand each other better, and it helps us to love each other more.
These are the people that helped you build the place?
Yeah.
Some of the people.
Yeah. I probably had about maybe 120 to 130 people helping me all together at some point. It's always open to anyone for meditation prayer. This pyramid here is a chakra cleanser. People who are going to be watching this know what chakras are, but they're spiritual centers within the body, and there are 7 main chakras going from the tailbone to the crown, and this particular filter here is purple, which is the color of the crown chakra. I was saying, if you take the colors of the rainbow, the tailbone is red and orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So if you sat underneath this pyramid, it would tend to open up the top of your head. Or if you put another color in there, like green, which would be good for your heart, or blue, which would be good for your throat, it would tend to open that part of your body. It just does it automatically. These things here on the altar were all donated by various people. Most of these guys were guides of mine who helped me build this place. And this particular bowl is in E flat. Body, which is what we're talking about, needs to be healed. So if you listen to music in E flat. It'll tend to be more healed than any other kind of music. In the same way, it's effect is to heal in between the second and third chakras, which is where the emotions tend to reside. Well, in the center of domes, if they're perfect, you find that if you speak, or say in this particular one, if you scratch your feet on the carpet, it tends to feel like you're doing it inside your head because it tends to amplify everything. Again, sound, dreams, your imagery, everything. It just sort of, the focal point is right in the center. That tends to be the most healing point or focusing point of the dome. The other quality that domes have, secondarily, is they're round, so they tend to open up the right side of your brain, which opens up more your sense of creativity, your sense of wholeness, your sense of unity, your sense of more magical thinking, non-linear thinking, that many things can happen. There are multiple possibilities other than one or two. Say, for example, we're a primarily left-brained culture in America. Our streets are straight, our buildings are square, our windows are square. Our calendars are linear. We go from one day to another day to another day as they're written down. Whereas right-brain cultures tend to be more concerned with seeing time as one whole unit. Most right-brain calendars are round rather than linear. The houses tend to be round. Streets that go from one place to another tend to be curved or arced or wavy. There's less of a sense of importance of getting from one place to another in a hurry. Because time has already happened and we're just sort of wandering through it. That's how the right brain perceives time. That's why you can say, if you have a dream and you have your grandmother who died 20 years ago and your best friend and someone maybe you just met yesterday all in the same dream, why it makes perfect sense. It's because the right brain perceives everything as being one whole thing all at the same time. So living in a round house tends to do that to people, and so they tend to open up to more possibilities in their life. And say if they've been given a diagnosis of having some illness that they have a certain amount of time to live, they see there are other possibilities to that. And so that there are more possibilities in their life other than what they've been told or what they've been taught by their parents. And all of the things in the healing center are generally around: the lights, the doorknobs, the windows, things like that, so that you keep it keeps intensifying on the right side of the brain to open up to more possibilities. This area serves as dining room, living room, kitchen, library, general place to hang out. Also as a dormitory. I'll sleep about 20 people here. And last night I had a party, about 150 up here, and I've had a sit-down class or conference for as many as 100. So it's just a general place for people to come together. together. This is the west view from the west side of the house, and looking north, this is Mount Wilson. You're seeing in the North Stars between these two peaks at night. So we look up here at north, and when the weather comes down, we just watch the weather come up over this mountain, and from north of where Flagstaff is located. And this mountain changes all day long. Its color, its shape, its form from the shadows and the clouds and the sun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed your visit to the Healing Center. And when you come to Sedona, stop by if you want to, just for a visit or to take a hot tub or just to sit out in the gardens. And I'm sure you'll enjoy your stay in Sedona because it's a wonderful place.
My name is Pete Sanders. I'm the author of the New Age bestseller, You Are Psychic, an MIT-trained scientist proven program for expanding your own psychic abilities. The You Are Psychic book basically is a summary of the research I started at MIT and have continued for 20 years around the country, helping people learn how to develop their own psychic abilities. One of the things that's incorrect about ESP is even the label ESP, extrasensory perception. It connotes that only some people have it, or that you have to be born under a veil or naturally gifted. All people have these higher sensory powers. I actually prefer the term HSP. When I was studying brain science at MIT, one of the things you first study is how the physical senses have focal points, regions of maximum sensitivity. The breakthrough research I did at MIT was discovering the body's psychic reception points, what we call the psychic reception areas. When people know where they are and how to tune into them, they can literally turbo boost their psychic abilities at will. They can have more control of how to tap into those four higher senses on command. The term of ESP as the sixth sense is actually incorrect. It's 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. The same way you have 5 physical senses, you have 4 psychic senses. And it's not mystical, it's not phenomenal, it's just a matter of training. Most people out there are not more psychic because they haven't had any training. They also don't speak Japanese because they never got Japanese in school. If they pick up the book or if they study some of the programs we have, they can learn how to literally develop these higher mental abilities as a human skill. Part of what I do here in Sedona is show people how to use Sedona's vortexes to turbo boost their abilities, to turn up the volume on their atrophied psychic senses. Once people learn the psychic reception areas in the body that are described in the You Are Psychic book, they can tap those psychic sensitivities anywhere. They don't have to be here in Sedona or have the vortexes. But for many people, their psychic senses are so atrophied due to lack of use that the vortexes provide that enhancement that helps them to get a signal for the first time. And then they can start developing and trusting, and the practicing that they may do here gets them started for how to open the psychic senses more fully when they travel back to their home area. Basically, Sedona is thought of as one of the power spots on the planet. Now, in my booklet that I put out here in Sedona, Scientific Vortex Information, I describe how vortexes can be found all over the world. And what makes Sedona special is the concentration of vortexes within a very small geographical radius here. That and the red rock seems to make the effect even stronger. The rock is red because it has a very high metallic content, mostly iron, but also magnesium and manganese. And that metallicized quartzite structure is what seems to make the energy fields in the vortexes even more vibrant than the scenic and natural wonders of the area would on their own. Also, scientifically, in brain science, we know that red is the most neurostimulating of colors. It's the one that grabs our attention and energizes us. That's one of the reasons that stop signs and stoplights are red, not green, because we know scientifically that red color triggers us, it grabs our attention. And the regular brain scientists will tell you that the red rock, the red earth, the orange-red clay of Tara, if you will, here in Sedona, does seem to help people feel more vibrant, more vitalized, and help them to do the mind-body healing skills that are possible. We're finding in medicine now that the mind and what it can do with the body is literally an untapped frontier. So people sometimes say, well, is it really the vortexes that is doing it for the people, or is it just their own mind? And the answer is both. It's primarily their own mind interfacing with the body that's creating the healing effects, that's creating the mental quantum leaps, if you will. Anything that stimulates the mind to work better, to function at a higher level more easily, is a catalyst to the process. Do the vortexes themselves do it? Does the red rock itself do it? I'm going to say maybe yes, maybe no. But it's definitely a catalyst that triggers the unlimited potential of the human spirit. And the bottom line is it works. People have been coming here for decades now as part of the New Age movement, millennia as part of Native American rituals to celebrate in the energy of the Red Rock area. I think that Sedona is in many ways a cross between Lourdes and the Grand Canyon. It has tremendous scenic wonders and also incredible spiritual characteristics. People have been coming to Sedona for years to be inspired. Now, in the early part of the 20th century, that inspiration wound up going on canvas and in bronze. Sedona's always had a history of being an art community. Now, more people are working on the canvas of their life. They're sculpting their life purpose. Where do I want to go? What is my real direction? And they're seeking out places that provide that inspiration to them without having to go away to Tibet or the Andes. One of the nice things about Sedona, it has an incredibly strong spiritual component while still being in the real world of American life. It is a city that's literally immersed in the heart of these natural and spiritual wonders. So people get a chance to learn how to bring their spirituality into everyday life, not instead of everyday life. And I think that's more the future of humanity's evolution, is how to bring the mountaintop into the village. And it's easy to be peaceful when you're on top of a mountaintop, blissed out. It's a lot harder to be in harmony and oneness
with yourself.
When you have a mortgage, when you have kids, when you have all the daily problems of living. And in many ways, I think that's part of what Harmonic Convergence II was about. How to make the planetary shift to the next level, the next step in our progression. The last step, I think, was just an awareness that world peace is possible, that there is a higher part to all of us. This next step is about how do we live that higher part in everyday life? How do we go from just the materialistic struggles to the spiritual living methods? And in some of the main sites in Sedona's vortexes are particularly unique for helping people work with getting spiritual answers to very nitty-gritty physical problems. Well, here in Sedona, there are four main areas that have been thought of as the vortexes. I actually teach a system that helps people find vortexes wherever they travel. But the four more known ones here in Sedona are Bell Rock, Airport Mesa, Boynton Canyon, and Cathedral Rock, Red Rock Crossing area. They're frequently thought of as electric or magnetic vortexes in most of the literature. Unfortunately, that terminology, that labeling system, is technically inaccurate. There is no difference in electric or magnetic field strengths out at the sites, and that's why many of the skeptics poo-poo the vortexes. They say there are no electric field or magnetic field differences, and scientifically they're accurate. As a scientist, that doesn't bother me because I know what's happening at the vortexes are energy flows in deeper dimensions. And I used to have to ask people to accept that on faith and say, look, these are occurring in deeper dimensions than electricity and magnetism. Let me show you the attunement exercises that are in the UR Psychic book, and then you can go out and prove it for yourself. But about 5 years ago, actually 10 years ago in the real research, but more like 5, 6 sweeping the country, there was a huge breakthrough in physics called superstrings. And subatomic physicists are always trying to find the smallest bit that makes everything up. And they feel they found it, and they call that smallest bit a string because it ties together all of the forces and energies and matter in the universe. And these strings, if you twist them one way, they become a proton. Twist them still a different way and they become an electron. Twist them still a different way and they will become a photon of light. Twist them still a different way and they become a graviton, the mysterious particle of force that makes gravity function. Now that's the boring physics lecture part. The fascinating human potentials part is the top physicists around the planet all agree that the strings exist in 10 dimensions. 3 of space, 1 of time, and then they say very rapidly, and 6 other dimensions we don't have the technology to measure yet. So for the first time, you have the top scientists in the world admitting that there are dimensions beyond that we don't have a clue how to measure into yet. And what I tell people is you can either sit at home and wait 100 years for some lab scientist to say we now know how to measure those dimensions, you have permission to go experience them, or you can start exploring and experiencing and measuring on your own. Because see, if those strings exist in 10 dimensions, then this chair I'm sitting in exists in 10 dimensions, I exist in 10 dimensions, and so do the vortex sites. And as a result, I can experience those energy flows. I can learn to ride those currents, if you will, to turbo boost different mental and spiritual abilities. In my UR Psychic book, I've tried to share techniques that people can use even if they're not in a vortex area to create that turbo boost. It's easier to do in a vortex area. And that's why here in Sedona, when I'm not able to be here giving my briefing on scientific vortex information, we do make available a booklet with all that information and a cassette tape of when I gave that briefing to the American Academy of Psychotherapists convention. Harmonic Convergence II is in many ways about a prayer or a wish for the future. So what I call upflow vortexes, areas that have an energy flow that orients your perspective upward, tend to be better for literally that future sensing, that future tapping, for letting a prayer go out to that future. Other types of vortexes that we refer to as inflow areas are helpful for going inward, for introspecting. And those would be good if you feel that the best way you can assist planetary progress is by polishing an area within you that still struggles, that still conflicts, that still fights with life rather than flows with life. Generally, upflow areas will be associated with mountains and mesa tops. Inflow areas will be associated with valleys and canyons. So people can literally seek out an area near them and find a spot that either turns their perspective inward or helps them to shift outward to that universal consciousness tapping perspective. Most vortexes, very strong vortexes, I find are associated with natural phenomena. And the more construction there is around the site, the more it seems to interfere with the strength of the energy. That is why many people feel that Boynton Canyon here in Sedona doesn't have as strong an energy as it used to, because of the development of the back of the canyon into a luxury resort. And stronger, though, is not necessarily better. People need to find a spot that gives them the right amount of turbo boost without blissing them.
We're called the Invisible Opera Company of Tibet.
Yeah.
This is Steve. Steve, our sound guy.
Hi, Steve.
I'm Dallas. This is William. Paul. Hi. Dwayne and Vince in the back there. We're all getting out of the rain.
Trying to keep dry.
Oh, trying to keep dry, trying to keep the equipment alive.
And we've been asked to play here, and we're playing and having a good time.
Were you guys here last time?
No.
No.
What's the name of your group again?
Invisible Opera Company of Tibet.
All right.
And we're primarily, we do benefits for Tibet House and things like that so that the Dalai Lama and the monks can come around. And we have an album coming out on the 16th of August on Played Again Sam Records. And all the mechanical proceeds are going to go to Tibet House. And we're spreading the word about Tibet.
Okay, what do you guys think about the convergence?
It's great.
It's excellent.
It's great.
Excellent.
It's nice to see people adhering to the world again, you know, and the way the things are on the planet, rather than the months and days and weeks and times and things like that. So we really like that.
Yeah.
Where are you guys from? Arizona. Yeah. Are you from Phoenix? Okay. Why'd you come?
She invited me to go camping for the weekend.
And you're curious?
It's a plot. No. That's what it is.
She's a believer and you guys aren't?
I don't know. I've never been to one of these. So I've never been to anything like this.
Some of us have been to some of the rainbow gatherings. So that was the reason that we came up. We heard from some people.
Did you know about the first one?
No. This was the first one we knew about.
Okay. Have you been to any of the things around town? Just this, huh? You went camping and then you're here.
Yep.
We came in last night.
Yeah, it's kind of not much fun in the rain.
Oh no.
It's all right.
It could be okay. You gonna come in the morning?
Yes.
Good. Good. That should be really good. Anything you got to say about this?
Nope. Just came happy to be here.
And I'm glad you brought them all.
We're her followers. She's our leader. She's the reason we're here.
Fearless leader?
She's the reason we all exist.
At that, I think we'll cut it.
And I'm the way to make a new healing bed to heal your whole body at once is coming to me to how to make. So.
Oh, terrific.
You look great. Look at all that getup.
Who's this guy?
My name's William. I'm from New York. 2 years ago in November, I moved to Sedona.
Oh.
And I'm working on the inner self, trying to know who I am and, self-empowerment.
Were you guys here for the first one?
No,
I was,
wasn't.
yes.
I didn't even know what metaphysics was until 6 months ago when I had my implants taken out. And I'm like, hi, honey. Been in a whirlwind since then.
What do you guys expect to get from?
Become
This
Christed.
Yeah.
Be able to manifest in our hand.
Oh, sure. In other words, that's what we're going for, the unlimitedness that we are,
right.
the gods that we are.
And this is Shanti, our
And
friend.
this is part of the integration. This is part of the integration of self.
That's right.
In other words, the harmonic convergence, that's what it amounts to. That the energy is
Why didn't you come walking with me this morning?
going to, support us now. In other words, it's available to us if we allow ourselves to know who we are.
Read the books, the life and teachings of the masters of the Far East. It tells how Baird Spalding went to Tibet, and there are men that have been living for 2,000 years. If they want to live a bread, it's in their hand. They can walk through walls. They manifest anything they want, and we can all be doing it too if we just believe we could. Aren't you going to play?
Okay.
Have an outrageous life.
So, you think you're going to get on TV, do you?
I was on TV in the Midway Center. They interviewed me.
Carolina.
Oh, and you just came to Sedona? You're going to live in Sedona?
Yeah.
How come you came?
I was taking off with a backpack and a tent and dropping my job and the girl I was married to, and I didn't know where I was going, and I heard about Sedona about 20 times in 2 weeks. So I figured I'd come over here and check it out. And I've been here 2 weeks now.
What's it like?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, when I came down the canyon, I hitched a ride down the canyon with some people from Flagstaff, and when I saw this place for the first time, I thought it was home, you know. So I was happy to be here.
You hear that story a lot.
Yeah, I know. Don goes writing a book about it now, I believe. He interviewed 25 different people telling the same story, yeah. It's pretty wild.
How about your friend?
I don't know, we just met.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
I'm here from Philadelphia, and I'm here on business.
And you're here on business, and you're just checking it out?
Well, I'm familiar with the idea behind what's happening here. I'm interested in supporting it.
Great. How do you feel about Sedona? Have you been here before?
About the actual place?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And what about the Convergence? Were you involved in the last one or knew of the last one?
Yes, I was involved in it.
What'd you do last night?
Well, I went to a sunrise meditation and spent some time after that with people talking about what the purpose of it was and how we could all support it and have the energy, vibration of the whole event continue afterwards.
What do you think you guys will go away with this time?
From the Convergence or from?
From Convergence.
Well, what I'd like to go away with is even a greater sense that things are moving in a positive direction, socially, spiritually, for everyone.
How about you?
What am I going to go away with from the Convergence? Oh, I don't know. This is my first one, so I'm just waiting to see.
Scottsdale now. Yeah? And you got a booth here?
We have a booth. We're selling all these beautiful shirts. These are our designs. We're Earth and Sky Inc. You can see our sign right here. These shirts are Mayan inspired. Mayan symbols.
We've got Poco Votan on this one, and Quesacodal or Quetzalcoatl, depending on how gringo you are.
Are you artist in any of these?
Co-designer. My partner and I designed them together.
Were you here at the first time?
Yeah, I was here in
You were the
Sedona.
first one?
Yeah, I was.
What'd you come away with the first time?
A sense of knowing that I wasn't alone, that everyone else was doing the same thing that I was doing, and we were all waking up together. And this time, it's on a much more conscious level, and I think that's what's so wonderful. Last time, it was real grassroots, and it didn't seem like people knew about it until everybody came together. Wow, these are incredible. This place is so beautiful.
I hope to come away with, which something I've been lacking a lot lately, is faith in the human spirit, faith in the fact that the human race is not actually doomed. We all don't know it. That this earth would be a better place without human beings, period.
How about anything unique or different in relationship to this? Like, I'm from the 60s.
Well,
What's the difference in your generation?
A lot more materialistic than the 60s. A lot more materialistic. I don't know. I still don't have...
I think we're a lot more aware of environmental problems and stuff, and people are doing a lot more to do against it, but still there's a lot of people who are my age that are just stupid.
I think they tend to be rolling downhill, and after it starts that downward spiral, and it just gains speed and momentum as it goes downward and in a tighter circle, you know, kind of like when you get the tetherball going really fast. It's hard to reverse it. It's so much harder to reverse it. So, and we're a lot further down the spiral than we were 30 years ago. So our generation has a much harder job of kicking, especially after the 70s and the 80s. That those really the Reagan years, the very the me generation, you know. So after all that corruption of the human spirit, it's going to be hard to kick that back up. You know.
Thank you.
This is why we came, to send energy out to the entire planet for the healing. With me now, just project the energy out there. Now let's visualize a column of golden light in the middle of the circle, coming down from the clouds and into the earth. Golden healing light. A spiral of purple-violet healing Christ energy, twisting like a coil of DNA from the heavens and deep into the earth. Let us send our consciousness deep into the planet. Oh, planet, we love you. Oh, planet, we ask for our continued survival. Oh, planet, show us the way. The temple of light, the crystal palace in the center of the planet Earth. Send your consciousness to see these things. And ask for the healing of the planet now. And we ask for the healing of our planet. And we ask this in the name of the Great Spirit. And we invoke the Christ, and we invoke the Master Christ to come into our circle and be with us now. Show us how to work with these energies. Show us how to heal our planet. My brother from the stars is here. You may come up here if you like.
I think I'm wanting to feel this vibration from the center here. I want you people to know I'm loving you, we're loving us, and I'm sending forth a vibration which is a reflection of the essence that we all represent. We're here for eternal remembrance and wanting to bring the heart vibration all the way open. So I want to share with you, on mountain heights of heaven's land, we now invoke the master plan. because it's our divine birthright. We're given back our cosmic sight. At dawn of life we were so high, and with the angels we did fly. We now dissolve all blinding pain. The ancient times now come again. 'Tis in the name of holy peace that blockages do now release. The damned no longer to deny the power of our single eye. We bless the darkness, make it right, reverse the tide, and free the light. God, make our power ever pure, else let the power not endure. We love and lift our fellow man. We understand the master plan. For us, there's simply nothing new, except that which our souls once knew. Chakras spin at speed of light. Within, without, come now our sight. Almighty Spirit Elohim, make truth of this our cosmic dream. Oh yes, our eye is really single. With light our bodies do now tingle. Oh, our souls are so brand new. We now know all that we once knew.
California.
Massachusetts. And did you come here especially for this? Did you just happen on this?
I was in the area and it just was right.
Great. You know, there's a lot of folks like that I'm finding out. How you feeling about it?
Very nice. Yeah. It's the Aztec and Mayan New Year.
And what, now that you're here, what do you hope to leave with?
I'm hoping for the best. It's been my wish since I was 6 years old for world peace.
About time.
And it's only 40 years later.
And especially this weekend, the stuff that's going on.
It's nice to be where there's a lot of energy.
Have you been here before in Sedona?
I never have until this past week.
How do you feel about Sedona?
Yeah, it's magic, especially.
Okay, thanks, folks. Real easy, but
Really good. Words can't express anything that you want me to hear, or say, so.